let's record this one. I'm gonna have to re-record what I did a few minutes ago later. That's all right. I'm gonna clear my screen. So what I want to do is just show a few precursors, things we need to know for shell scripting. And the first thing I want to go over is pretty much the first part of chapter 7. It's the idea of redirecting output. So I'm going to record this with script. And this is going to be my chapter 7 file. So I'm going to call it chapter7.ts. I'll move it to the right directory later. I have just in, actually, I want to make sure I didn't already start recording chapter 7 stuff. Nope. Okay, at least not in this folder. Oh, script. There we go. Ah, one of those days. Should have made scones this morning. It'd be in much better shape.
I think it's the scones or maybe what we had.
That's probably true. All right, so my script is running. So run the following command. Do an ls on /etc/star. And I was hoping we would get some error messages. Oh, I know why we didn't get error messages, because we can see stuff in ls. Well, that's a lot of stuff. Okay, that's all right. Next, let's do this. We're going to do a grep. So grep, and then I want to look for hosts, colon, in any files in etc. That should give us some error messages. Okay, so I'm getting a ton of error messages here about the directory. So I'm going to get rid of those. So remember we played with grep a while ago? Well, I think further up, I'm going to have some error messages. Huh, I'm not getting error messages? I swear I should have. All right, we're going to adjust the command again. We're going to do a -d skip. And what that's going to do is grep's trying to search the directory, which isn't a file. Grep is a file searcher. So the -d says skip directories. Okay, so here I can see some errors. So again, these weren't necessarily errors. Grep was just saying, hey, that's a directory. I can't search a directory. I can only search files. But then down here, I can see that I am getting some permission denied errors. Okay. So part of what I see is actual output from grep, like, yeah, I found something. I have the etc/ns/switch.conf hosts. So what grep is saying in the file, etc/ns/switch.conf, I found a line that has host :int, right? So grep in all of these directories is looking within files trying to find me something. Okay, and it gave me error messages. Suppose I know there's going to be error messages and I don't want to see them. So I'm going to send the error messages away. To send error messages away, we're going to do a redirection on that. So I'm going to clear my screen and start over. You don't have to clear your screen. I'm just getting mine to the top so you can see it in the room better. So what we're going to do here is we're going to redirect some of the output. Now, normally redirection is just the greater than symbol. It says send the output somewhere. I don't want to send all the output. I just want to send the errors away. Errors are part 2 of standard output. So what I want to do is a space 2, then gradient. What that says is we're going to send the errors somewhere. Now we have 2 options. We could send the errors into a black hole because we don't give a shit, or we could put them in a file to look at later. Let's say we don't give a shit, so we just want to put them into nowhere. Does anybody know where a black hole on a Linux computer is? Okay, that's okay. I'm going to tell you, it is the device called null. dev null is a place on the computer that stuff goes to disappear. Okay. So now all the error messages should just go into dev null and they just vanish from existence. They're not recorded anywhere. So hit enter and you should only get the non-error message from grep. Okay, so that means host wasn't found at all when you did a search for it. So let's see, what's something else? So when you did without sending it to dev null, did you get anything besides permission denied?
No.
Okay, so that means it didn't find anything on your system that fits that description. Let me see, what else might we search for? What if we just search for your username? I think that'll bring up something.
It's the same, right?
Yeah, it should pop up a whole bunch of times. So my username was found in the group file. My username was found in the password file, but then I also got a bunch of permission denials.
So if you're root, can you just go into the password file and see what people's passwords are?
No, passwords aren't actually, they're not actually in the password file. The password file just has a reference to a user that has a password. Passwords are stored in a different place and they're encrypted. So even if you look at that file, you'll just see an encrypted hash, and it's a one-way hash, means you can't reverse engineer the password from it. All right, so then now run that command again with a 2 greater than, and then we're going to send, so that means send the error message to dev null. So it's /dev/null. And so then what I'll get is only the positive places where grep find it, and I won't get any error messages about permission denied. Okay. Now, let's suppose I want to record all of that information somewhere. So what I would do is, yeah, I'm recording this. So what I'm going to do is go back and edit this line. I want to actually get rid of the dev null because I want to record some stuff. I want to do just a greater than. With the greater than done, it will redirect just the standard output. And I want to redirect the standard into a file called where I live. And I'm going to use dashes in between, .txt. So what this should do here is it should just take the positive output from grep, not the errors, and put all of those in the file where I live, which I misspelled. And that's okay. I don't really care. And I'm calling it where I live because I'm looking for occurrences of my username in files in etc. So if I hit enter there, I should only get the permission denieds, but I'm not seeing any of the other stuff. Why? Well, I didn't redirect the error messages. I only redirected the regular standard output. If I didn't want to see the error messages, then I would have to do something like this, but I did want to record the standard output. Then I would do another redirect after this that says, take the standard error, which is 2 right arrow, and send the error messages to dev null. But maybe I need the error messages. So I just send them to a different file. So I could say, let's put them in the file called Gary errors.txt, or your username errors.txt. So what this should do is take all of the output from my grep commands. Anything that's regular standard output will go into the file where I live.txt. Any error messages will go to the file gary.errors.txt. And I won't see anything on the screen. It'll just do both of those things. So now if I do an LESS on the file called where I live.txt, I should see only the messages about where grep found Gary or your username, and I shouldn't see any error messages. And if I do an LESS on the error messages file, I should see only the error messages and not any of the regular standard output. Okay, so in the bash, and then again, this is the bash shell. Z shell works a little bit different, I believe, or T shell. There's 3 redirections. There's redirect to standard input, there's redirect standard output, and there's redirect standard error. And I don't do, let's see, let's do a redirect for standard input. So you know how before I could use nano to edit a file and put some text in there? So we could use standard in and standard out to do the same thing. See if I can remember the syntax on this. So I want to cat, oops. I'm pretty sure I want to do that. Okay. I don't have this memorized. I got to look it up. They do an example of this in the beginning of chapter 7. All right, so standard in as a 0, standard out's a 1, standard error is a 2. You can omit the 1 and the 0 in a lot of circumstances. And I want to see a redirect standard in with cats. That is 1. That's not the one I want. Not that one. That one right there. Okay. It's the 2 arrows. All right. So we're going to try that right there. Sort of.
How many people get certified in Linux Plus
No idea.
from your classes?
Oh. Most people don't, as far as I know. So I think we only have 1 or 2 students a year that actually goes for the certification. I should. Exam. It's pretty hard. Yeah, I would give myself, without studying, just with what we've done together so far, I'd give myself a 60% chance of passing. If I spent a week brushing up on all the other stuff we haven't covered yet, then I would give myself a 99% chance of passing, probably 100%. But I would need a few days to brush up on stuff I don't do often.
What score do you think you would get? Roughly.
I don't know what their scoring system is.
Like, do you think that you'd get like 70% of the questions right, 80%?
If I just took it today, I would guess I would get half of the questions right.
Okay.
And if I got lucky, I might get 70% right. Off the top of my head today. If I studied for a few days, I bet I would get at least 80% right. But I would want a few days to brush up on stuff I don't do often. All right, so we're going to do a cat. We're going to do a double arrow. So again, remember the arrow went the other way before? That meant I'm sending information out. Here I want to put information in. And I'm going to put an EOF, which stands for end of file. And I'm going to add something extra that's not in the book. I'm going to put this redirect operator because I want what's on the screen to go into a file. And so I'm going to make a file called test redirect. And it's a text file, so I'll put a .txt. And then, so again, it's cat, double arrow left, EOF, single arrow right, file name, test redirect, or whatever, you can call it anything you want, and then hit enter. And then type Linux is so fun, period, enter, I love Linux. Linux is better than Windows. Enter. and then type EOF. Enter. Now look inside the file, test redirect. We can do that with whole blocks of tests with like copy and paste. So in the book, for example, the author plays around with a file he has on his computer called Prologue. So I'm going to go, and again, I could do this with Nano, but there's lots of other ways I could do this. Here's the thing though, the commands I'm showing you, you can use within a script to record things that are going on and put those recordings in different places. But Nano, I can copy and paste into, I can type into, but I can't use Nano in a script. Okay, it's just a file editor. So I'm just going to copy that stuff right there. And then without using Nano, oops, wrong one, I could stick that into a file using a similar thing. So if I bring up this right here, and then I'll just put it, he called the file Prologue. I'm just going to put it in the file called Prologue. So if I hit enter and then Control-Shift-V, enter EOF. And again, you could type any phrase you want. You could type, instead of EOF at the top, you could type pandas. As long as you type the exact same thing at the end, that keys the system when to stop recording. And they use EOF because it's pretty unlikely you type EOF in whatever you're trying to record. So now I should have a file called Prologue that has that text in it. So double arrows versus single arrows are about overwrite or append. So a double arrow, if that file existed, will append. A single arrow will overwrite it. So kind of like with the script, the -A or not -A. Okay. So if I did something like, I have that file called Where I Live, has all that stuff in it. So if instead I quit that and I do echo, Gary lives in Pendleton, and then I do a single right arrow and I call the file Where I Live, is that going to append that to that list of stuff, or is it going to overwrite?
Overwrite.
I should overwrite it. Yeah. So if I hit enter right now and I look back to see what's in Where I Live, Gary lives in Pendleton is the only thing that's there now. Right. If I wanted to append instead, let's say I want to put like the date. So remember we have a command called date. So what I could do is take the date and double arrow append it to Where I Live. And then if I go view that file Where I Live, I should see it says Gary lives in Pendleton, and I should have the date on it. Right. So a single arrow overwrites a file or creates it if it didn't exist. A double arrow appends to an existing file, and the double arrow will create the file if the file doesn't exist. Okay. Am I directing standard output or standard error here? Or both? Am I when I did those redirects, was I redirecting standard output, standard error, or both?
Standard output.
Yeah, this is standard output. So if there were any error message involved there, they would have not been recorded to the file, but they would have been shown on the screen. Right. Sometimes I just want both the standard error and the standard output to go to the same file. So if I bring up that command I did before that had a bunch of errors and a bunch of positive things, the grep one. Yeah, so here, my grep command had some error messages because I had permission to look in some files, but it also had some positive finds when grep was looking in files. I took the standard output and put it in Where I Live.txt and the standard error and put it in Gary's errors. Sometimes I just want them all in the same place. So to make the standard output and the standard error go together, we would do something like this, ampersand, the and symbol, and then the redirect, and then wherever you want to put it. So maybe I'll call this one grep Gary.txt. So what the and does, it says grab both the standard output and the standard error, as you would see in the terminal, and just package them all together into that file right there. Okay. So again, I'm grepping for the word Gary in any file in the etc directory. I'm telling grep to not look in subdirectories of etc, skip them, because otherwise I'll get a permission denied problem. Or yeah, on some of them. And then I'm just going to put both the standard error and the standard output together in a single file. And so now if I look in that file, then I should see some permission denied errors, and I should see some positive finds for grep when I do that. Whereas when I did it the other way, all the errors went to one file and all the standard output went to another file. Okay. Usually on your terminal screen, you see standard output and standard error all mixed together on the screen. But you can use redirect to separate them if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to diverge from the book for a minute because I want to show you a cool basic script that you could easily run. I had mentioned a book I like called The Hacker's Guide to Linux. And did I not type it right? I'm not finding the site I want. It's supposed to be at No Starch Press. Oh, Linux Basics for Hackers. Sorry, wrong book. Linux Basics for Hackers. And that should take me to No Starch Press. So the second edition of it. So if you wanted to buy it legitimately, here's where you buy it. And they give a sample of chapter 8, which is their shell scripting chapter. And they had a couple of really cool examples in here. So since they published this free online, I can legally show it and record it. Okay, so their first script is pretty basic. Let me blow that up a little bit. We're going to do their second script. Any bash script has to have what's called the shebang hashtag exclamation point. And it has to reference wherever bash lives on your computer. So we'll double check where bash lives on your computer. If something starts off with a hashtag after that, it's a comment and will not be run. Anything else that doesn't start with a hashtag is run as a command as if it were on the command line. So he runs that echo command. So this script doesn't do much but do an echo. We're going to get a script that takes input. So I'm going to scroll down and we're going to try his next one. This one right here. Let's blow this up again. So we're not going to do the comments, but here's the important thing. If you do an echo with something, and the quotes are optional here, but it's a good idea to put them in, that'll display on the screen after you run the script. If you have a read and then something after that, that is now a variable that you can use. Right? So I put the echo command that throws it on the screen for you to see, and then it'll be a blank line waiting for you to do something. You type, hit enter, that runs the read, whatever you typed, and whatever you typed is going to be stored in the variable called name. Then echo what chapter you're on, something like that. You type something, hit enter, it reads what you typed and stores whatever you typed in the variable chapter. And then I can echo, when you call a variable, you got to put a $sign in front of it. So when you initiate a variable, no $sign. When you use a variable, there is a $sign. Okay. And then you can then output a custom statement for that user. Just think of it, If you want a script to do something automatically on your system, sometimes you need user input to do that. And so this is how you get user input with the read commands on the command line. And then you can apply it with the variable. So I'm going to leave that up there for you to try in 1 second, but I want to show you another script I wrote. So let me just find it. It is, yes, that one. So I'm going to go nano, copy. All right. So is that readable? A little bit bigger, maybe. So you remember that prologue file I mentioned that the author talks about in our book in chapter 7? If you have that file on your system, then you can run all the commands he runs related to it, right? So instead of just looking at him run the commands. So on the server that I set up that you guys all have access to now, I'm going to that copy of prologue I just made using cat. I'm going to send that to my account in the server, and then I'm going to run this script right here to then put a copy of that in all of your accounts. So what's my script going to do? So the for in means I have a whole bunch of data that I want to repeat the same process on. What data do I want to repeat the same process on? Anything in ls/home. What's going to happen if I run the command ls/home? What will that do on the server that we all have accounts on?
Show us what's in that directory.
Yeah, what's usually in the home directory?
Files.
What's that?
All of our files.
All of your user directories. And then in each of those is your files, right? So if I go to the server and I run the command ls/home as root, I'll see that there's an account for Gary, and there's an account for Momo, and there's an account for Justin and Lily, and so on. They all live in there. So I'm going to, on the server, so on any server, this will look in the home directory and list all of the user directories. And then each time it finds a user directory, it'll run those commands. So I'm going to echo copying prologue to whatever user I happen to be on. And then I'm going to actually do the copy from my directory where it lives now into that user directory. And then here's the other catch. I have to be root to do this because I can't look in your accounts otherwise. So then those files will get put in there as root. So then I have to change the ownership of the file. Remember that command before, chown. So this will change the owner to whoever the user is I'm copying it into and to their group, which is also the same name. And it'll do it for that file right there. Okay. So again, my variable, I have 2 variables living here. Notice the $sign in the for line. One variable is every directory that lives in the home directory. The other variable will come from the user's name in that directory. And then I'll reuse that here. So what ls tells me is one variable, and then I pull that apart to get a bunch of individual variables for each user. So that's, again, a shell scripting thing. And naming the variable, no $, using the variable needs a $. Right?
Didn't you use the and sign for variables in the other?
No, so I use the ampersand for redirection for both standard input and standard output. So that's different. Yeah, so the ampersand has a bunch of uses. It's a special meta character in Linux. When you're doing redirects, the ampersand means direct standard input and standard error. All right, so what I'd like you to try is this script right here. And don't type all these comments here. You need the shebang line. You need part 3 here. Echo what is your name, read name. And then echo some other question, read the question, and then an echo line that then tries to display it. And then we'll see if we can get the script to run. Okay. So I'm going to go type a similar, I haven't done this yet, so I'm going to go bring this into another screen and type it. I want that screen? No, I want this screen here. So I'm going to open up Nano to create this script. And what's that? Oh, I'm doing my Nano on a different screen. Yeah, so I want you to be able to see this here. And you can call the file anything you want. I'm going to call it first script. And usually we, like text files are .txt, usually script files are .sh for shell. So I'm going to call mine first script.sh. And then I'm going to type, again, just like it shows there, that hashtag, the #, exclamation point, space, /bin/bash. We'll have to confirm that's really where our bash lives. And then blank lines are optional. They're there for readability. Then I'm just going to go jump to his echo line. Right, so here's what the beginning of my script looks like.
Here, for clarification, do we
Yeah.
type hashtag and exclamation point or?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, so any script, if you're using the bash shell,
Yeah.
has to start off with hashtag exclamation point / and then where bash lives. We'll confirm that's where our bash lives. I'm pretty sure on mine's actually in user bin, not in bin. But we'll look that up in a second. Okay, so that's going to be my script right there. I'm shortening it a little bit. So I'm going to echo, what is your name? Except I can't spell or type. And then once you get it typed, we need to save it. So I'm going to do a Control-S/X to save it. I want to double check I've got the right location of bash, otherwise this won't run. So which is where we go to check to where things live. So I'm going to do a which bash. And mine lives in USR/bin/bash. So double check where yours lives. So I'm going to have to change mine because I have the wrong location for bash. Now, sometimes scripts are linked to different names and locations. So it could be there is a bin bash. So I'm just going to double check ls/bin/bash. Oh, okay. It lives there too. So that one's probably a link file. Won't show me that. Yeah, that's a link. Okay, so it'll run if you also have bin bash as a thing. Otherwise, change it to user bin bash. Other thing, files have to have the execute permission set if you want to execute them. Yeah.
So for if it was user bin bash, you need to put on your.
Yeah, so my bash is in user bin bash. However, I have a link at bin bash that will send.
Oh,
So it's okay. Yeah. So if you check that exists, you're okay. Otherwise, if that doesn't exist, then you would have to edit your file.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you think it's not linked, then you would have to do USR/bin bash. Yeah.
So resave. If I check to see if this is executable, ls-l on my first script, I can see it's not currently executable. So I need to make it executable next. Lots of ways to do that. You could just add the execute option to the user, or you could just change the permission with numbers. So I'm going to make it executable for me. So that means I would do a chmod 7, because I want it to be read, write, execute. Read, write is a 6, and just read is a 4. So I'm going to change it to 764. And again, R is worth 4. W is 4 plus 2 or 6. Read, write, execute would be worth 7. The book says make it 775, which lets anybody execute it, which is not what I want to do here. But that's okay. It wouldn't hurt anything. So that right there will make it executable. So now if I look at ls again, notice it's changed color. It's now an executable. To run it, I have to do a /. Anybody remember what the dot means at the command line? It means the directory you're in, not necessarily home, but whatever directory I'm in now, I want to run / and then type the rest of it, or use tab complete to type it, and then hit enter, and it should run. What is your name? I'm going to be Gary. What chapter are you on? I'm on chapter 7. And then it should output, welcome, Gary, enjoy 7. Okay. So if you typed it right, it should just, and you set the permissions right, it should just run.
I would, yeah, just like, can you move that over so I can see what was just said?
Oh, yeah, I can show you what I typed in Nano. Yeah, so I did a shorter version of what he did. I just typed the sentences smaller. So that's the extent of my script right there. Echo shows something on the standard output. If you type after that, read reads what you type. So the read command here basically freezes the script until you type something and hit enter. You could just type enter, and then in which case it would be empty. It wouldn't get any input. Did anyone have trouble running the script? Okay. And then after we do that, we have to change the permission. Actually, you can change the permission anytime. Happened?
Not in directory.
Oh, no, you don't want to be sudo.
It's the permission that I will get.
Oh, do I ls-l?
And
Oh, it's root. Okay, so yeah, you would have to do, so somehow root owns that.
I'll change on the period.
Oh, yeah, so just do a ch build, I'm a sudo ch.
Yeah, I need to make sure you.
You got an error message? Yours, okay?
Yeah, it won't find.
Okay.
I gotta be off.
Okay. I'll see you later.
Oh, yeah.
Who's the file?
Send this to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's oh, what's going on there?
Oh, yeah, so you, so do a change rooms. And then so on.
After.
Enter, go ahead.
Yeah. After putting a user, but file is ready to change.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, now try to use that /.
She did that dealer.
How's he supposed to do the job?
Okay, let's see what that. Space.
Right.
Oh, no, should matter. Show me your file.
I'm
The file of direct influence. Did I not check? Okay. I changed the owner, but it's still not controlled on some. Why do?
Alex, do you know what location you're gonna work at?
What?
Inside global work out, you know what location you're gonna work at? Or you have to-
I haven't gotten the, what's it called? The interview thing yet.
So
But I was told by my dad that if he sends that to Jasmine, I will get an interview. It's just Jasmine. It's on her now because he's Jasmine's boss.
So your dad works for inside. Global.
No, he works for Amazon. So he's really good buddies with his past boss.
Is it important?
Yep. It's just on her now to send me the application.
So that's through inside. Global. So, well, like. That's inside global. Important, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jasmine is. with-
She just okays.
Yeah.
Your dad being like Mr. Big Boss can't get you a new badge?
Oh, yeah, slash.
Well, because it's like, it says in the school work.
Yeah, to get.
There is applications for GCU, but I'm not qualified yet to be an L3. So that's why green badge.
Alright. Did you get yours to run?
And but
No,
Okay.
because
it's still not working to run.
Did you, okay, so do an LS dash L. Oh, this was first. You see it there? Okay, it's not, it's okay, so, backspace. Yeah, do a CH, do like CH mod. 764.
It's still not what I'm gonna run it.
Okay, so now do a dot slash. And start hitting the first script. I have. So now we only have a space in between the space. There should be space between after and slash. Ow. Yeah. Yeah, took your name. Cool, yours worked okay? Sorry. And you didn't get yours to run yet?
It's still not working.
We left the recording go. Alright, that's it for now, recording. I'll crop this later.
Thanks for playing. We'll see you in the near future.
It's like